Hi, I'm Manti Seligman. Recently joined GTC. I've got just over 30 years of experience in various banking and trading institutions on a global basis. I'm very, very excited. Worldwide Capital joining up with GTC offers us, as a company, a huge amount of prospect.
Hi, my name is Adam Reeves. Also have 30 years experience. I'm an ex-stockbroker, used to run derivatives for a large South African bank. And been involved in fund management for the last 4 to 5 years. Very exciting times actually happening in terms of Worldwide joining GTC. GTC is a company whose values and outlook on the industry is one that matches us, and I think the two parties getting together is going to be beneficial for both Worldwide Capital, GTC and the client base.
Hi, I'm Clive Eggers. I am the Head of Investment Analytics at GTC. Our team's responsible for looking after the investment offering to GTC's client base. And very excited to be sitting with Adam and Manti from Worldwide Capital and talking today about Worldwide Capital joining forces with GTC and all of the additional capability and skill set that brings.
Worldwide Capital has always been a product house in terms of investment products. And I believe that the growth of passive, or what is deemed to be passive asset management in the world, has had a huge amount of growth. I'm not sure that it should be called passive. I think tracking is a far more accurate description, because it's all about picking the correct asset classes and being able to get the correct risk-adjusted exposure into those classes. And that is what we are going to be able to do, hopefully, within GTC and the portfolios as well.
Yeah. I mean, our role really is to sort of try and gain general market exposure as efficiently and cheap as possible. And then it's obviously your job to pick the active managers around that to say, okay, which one of these guys can actually add value, and blending them together, hopefully being able to say, okay, this is the efficient and most ultimate portfolio mix in order to give your investment objective or your client's investment objective the best probability of achieving that.
Yeah, and from analytics perspective, I mean, we're always on the lookout for investment strategies, investment management solutions and products that make sense to combine in our overall portfolio offering to our clients. So it was just such a natural fit to meet up with Worldwide Capital and to understand more about what you guys offer and what you can introduce into our portfolios. And yeah, I mean, it just made natural sense to partner and work together and to find innovative ways of introducing market beta, if you like, into our portfolios in clever ways, not just introducing market exposure. Yes, that's appropriate in some asset classes, but if we're concerned about where a currency is headed, what's great about the partnership that we have with you is we now have in-house capability to do something about that, and that's an added benefit all around.
But I think that's also one of the attractions for us working with GTC. You're not set and stuck in your ways. You look at things holistically. You take a step back and say, does it make sense to include this in our portfolio? And you get other market practitioners who turn around and say, no, we're going to stick to an active only, or we're going to stick to this, which has worked in the past but is not going to work in the future.
For sure. Yeah, well, it's all about risk-adjusted returns. It's all about being able to identify the correct asset class at the correct stage. It's all about ensuring that you can try to the best of our ability to predict an outcome within the market. Yeah. And if you have that capability of being able to switch relatively seamlessly without disrupting the portfolio and without changing your risk parameters too dramatically, it's all, it's very important. It's, that's what it's about, being able to be nimble, to be cost efficient, and to be risk averse.
I mean, you can run the analogy, GTC is like, or your role is like an architect. And if new materials come on board, you involve them. And does it make sense to include them in your construction, yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another point that also makes sense in terms of why we've got together, the two companies have joined forces, and that's we're in a lower return world. We all know this, the clients know this, they can see it in terms of their returns from markets that normally beat inflation by a considerable margin just aren't there. We're all hoping it will return, but we can't sit on our hands and wait for that to happen. So in the interim, we've got to think about new and better ways of doing things within a risk-controlled manner. Yeah. So to introduce your skill set into what we're trying to do it's very opportune, and it makes a lot of sense. So I think, how are our clients going to benefit from this new offering? Well, our clients are already exposed to our house view portfolios that already have a combination of active and passive within them. So right now there's a lot of work taking place behind the scenes, as we all know, and we're looking at ways of how best to incorporate your strategies and your offering into that portfolio. So the work's already taking place, and over time clients are going to see the benefits of that coming through, whether it's in a single asset class, whether it's a certain strategy that's coming into play to protect against rand weakness or rand strength. So yeah, there's lots of benefits coming, and it's just a matter of watching that space. So another way that this benefits our clients is we obviously look after institutional clients as well as private clients, and we understand very clearly that although there's a lot of commonality and a lot of, because after all institutional clients are made up of a membership of private clients at the end of the day, there still are bespoke, customized private clients' needs, particularly in the wealth management space. So what's attractive about working together with both of you guys going forward is it's another way in which we can look at how best to put together solutions on a customized basis for our private clients.
Absolutely. I mean, the nice thing about what we do, it's completely scalable. You know, with a pension fund, you've got full flexibility. You can do what you want when you want. Obviously, in a private client space, in the collective investment scheme, it's a little bit more rigid, and that's just the industry that it is. But the solutions that we will come up with for use in pension and provident fund will be the same solution, although it's slightly different because of regulation in the collective investment scheme space. So, you know, in terms of cutting edge, you know, private clients and institutional clients will actually both get the benefit.
Agreed, and I think as legislation changes going forward, it will create more opportunities, and again, having Worldwide Capital on board just makes it that much easier for us to keep pace with changing legislation, design or adjust our offering as is appropriate.
And for me, the beauty as well is obviously, you know, being such a dynamic company, you have an offering that stretches right across the spectrum from EB and pension, medical trusts, well, you know, all the entire spectrum for the client.
Exactly.
And I think this gives us a tool to manage the investment side so much better for the entire client base that it's really very exciting. I think the future going forward is very exciting. I think if one just focuses on the portfolios themselves and we have a look at a risk-adjusted basis from a cost perspective and from just an exposure perspective, I think that that's where we're going to be able to play a major role in adjusting the portfolios by using trackers. I think trackers are definitely not the average. I mean, they use, you know, a top 40 index is the top stocks, it's not the average stocks.
For sure.
And as a result of that, there are numerous different methodologies that we can use to pick up on where the exposures are and to mitigate some of those in terms of the trackers.
For sure, and I think there's also, the other exciting thing is, as Worldwide Capital has always done, you've been able to offer your strategies and your thinking and your research to market providers. So obviously the natural fit and the best place for that to happen post us joining forces is within our house view portfolios. But much like ourselves as analytics, who also are able to offer bespoke solutions and research to clients, you guys will continue to do that both to your traditional client base, GTC's client base, and others.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. I mean, your house view and the way that you do business, you know, we need to understand and be able to offer you all of the products and the things in our toolbox. But there are other house views that are available out there for other people. And it's up to us to sort of try and fit in whereabouts we can do business with them on other areas, because there's different ways of constructing portfolios, or we'll be doing the same thing.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, our experience is that we've had a lot of exposure to all the houses, and we work with a lot of people, and we try and get as broad a view as we can, both locally and internationally. So just our experience in terms of what general public and other houses are looking for means that we've had huge exposure into the markets in general, which allows us to now sort of ensure that we can try and pick and get the best trackers that we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's another point that we haven't really covered yet, and that's just in terms of future endeavours. If there's a new asset class or a new strategy, either locally or more importantly, perhaps from a global perspective, I think what's exciting is what you guys are able to offer us is an additional way to access that.
Yeah.
So you know, let's take a basic example like government bonds globally. It hasn't been a place that GTC historic for the last 3 years has seen much value in, and I think that's not a unique view. Yet when value returns, we know it's a very efficient marketplace. What's exciting about what you guys offer is in a very short space of time, if we decide to turn that asset class on, so to speak, you're able to offer that to our house view portfolios very easily in a very cost-effective manner. So,
Absolutely.
exciting times.